Howdy folks, Jamboree here, and welcome to another episode of the Church of Tim Curry. Joining me is my co-host Viva Becker.
Hello.
And welcome to the news.
Now, see, you have made me scared to say anything, because every time I say anything, you're like, oh, okay, that's weird. I'm like, thank you.
It's alright, I'll pay for you to go to sign-in school.
Oh, God.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about the 1993 Disney movie, The Three Muskteers. It's France. The year is 1625, when an evil cardinal disbands the king's musketeers. Without his highness's permission, the king is outraged. It turns out that the cardinal is conspiring against his majesty, and ridding the royal guards was his first step. However, three musketeers called Porthos, Aramis and Athos are secretly still following their duties, with the plan to uncover the Cardinals Conspiracy. They won't be alone, as a wannabe musketeer called D'Artagnan wants to help out. Meanwhile, the Cardinal becomes bent on wiping out these last musketeers while trying to keep the king's trust. Okay, so Viva, what were your initial thoughts on this film?
Well, I thought that it was amazing, and it was the breath of fresh air that I needed after seeing some of the less interesting Tim Curry movies, let's say. The ones that I didn't care for as much. And when I was looking through some of the reviews online, this movie does not have very good reviews, and some of the things that people were complaining about were the lack of fidelity with the adaptation. And I mean, any Three Musketeers adaptation that does not have a goddamn musketeer is fantastic in my book. If the horses don't talk, that is A+ from me. I
was going to ask you, so which is better, Barbie and the Three Musketeers or this
I
one?
wonder. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so personally, I had a lot of fun with this. I think it's at its strongest when it embraces the fact it's a silly Disney swashbuckler, but I will admit that it loses me when it tries to get serious or dramatic. But when it's like, hey, we're a cartoony, goofy comedy with swords and pirates and kings and shit, I'm like, yeah, man, that's great, that's fantastic.
I mean, it's a pile of cheese. It's a pile of cheese,
yeah.
And if you go in wanting a pile of cheese and you're ready for cheese, and you're not one of those hoity-toity people who's like, oh, I'm lactose intolerant, then you're gonna have a fun time. if you're gonna be all fancy about it, then yeah, the cheese is probably gonna give you some diarrhea or something, and then that's probably why the ratings on it are so low. But I feel like if you understand that it's really doesn't have much to do with the original Dumas novel, and it's not going to be anything that changes your life, and it's not going to be anything that says anything smart about issues. You're just there to have fun, and you're gonna have fun with it.
Yeah, which is like I said, I think it's at its strongest when it accepts that, and it's like, yeah, okay, we're a stupid cheesy movie, let's go for it. That's where the film is at its most entertaining. And I really liked the Three Musketeers themselves. They're really sleazy and naughty, but at the same time there's something noble and passionate about them, and they have a bit of a bromance together, and I like spending time with them, and I like their deadpan humor and their one-liners, and yeah, they're just great. They're really great leads.
Did I miss anyone?
Congratulations, Porthos. You brought down the house.
Drat. I was trying to hit Rochefort. You go back and you tell the Cardinal
We will continue to perform our sworn duty, which is to protect the king.
I liked him too. I tried not to think too much about the actors themselves and their later personal histories. Paid attention to their work, their characters, and I really liked them, and I felt like I wanted the good guys to win, but I felt like I wanted the bad guys to win. And I think that was a good place for me to be in because I want everybody to win.
Yeah. But I will admit that I did not like D'Artagnan at all. He was just so whiny and uncharismatic, and I can see why Chris O'Donnell was nominated for a Razzie. The poor guy always ended up playing these kinds of characters in the 90s. He just doesn't do anything for me.
5 of them, 3 of us. Hardly seems fair.
Maybe we should give him a chance to surrender.
Excuse me, but there's 4 of us.
It's not your fight. You're not a musketeer.
I may not wear the tunic, but I believe I have the heart of a musketeer.
I don't know. I didn't. To be honest, I feel as if the film could be so much better if they just didn't have him in it. He's the only thing in the movie where I was like, oh.
Yeah, like, come on, how stupid is this guy, right?
Where'd you begin?
I was, every time he was on screen, I was distracted by 2 things. Except for the part where they showed him shirtless, and then I was distracted by how small his nipples were. The first thing I was distracted by was he has like an aggressively American accent in the movie, and honestly, they should all have French accents probably. Most of them had either British accents or sort of Britishy accents. Except for Constance, who had like this weird French kind of accent, I guess. And D'Artagnan, who had an aggressively American accent, which is kind of weird. And then I was just distracted by the way that his face looks, because he has the weirdest freaking teeth and lip shape I've ever seen. It's like his lips look like a normal person's lips if they were flipped upside down. So I basically what I'm getting at is I don't think that the charisma was really oozing off the guy, because if he was playing as strong of a character as the other people, I wouldn't have been distracted by those things, you know?
That's the thing, your attention draws more towards the minor things when you're not being captured by their personality. Yeah.
I really don't think, I don't know how he could have, been significantly better, though, because we already have 3 super charismatic good guys, and then we have Tim Curry as the bad guy, and what more can you really get out of there? I mean, it might start to get a little crowded.
Yeah, it does feel like it just wants to follow that beat of, hey, it's the youthful underdog who wants to prove that he's amazing, but he's a bit cocky. They just want to have that in there.
Maybe if he'd ever like done anything where he actually proves himself, that would have been a little bit better. But he never actually does anything by himself. That's amazing, does he?
No. Plus, his romance with Constance is just awful.
What romance? I didn't see a romance.
Exactly. Like, they meet and instantly smitten, and they even have a scene to try and justify how short it is. It's like, oh, do you know, sometimes it is true love when you've just seen them for a moment. It's like, no, that's infatuation love, okay?
But I don't understand why I feel this way. We only met for a moment.
A moment is all it may take.
Do you think so?
There's only 3 scenes in the movie where they talk about romance, and there's only 2 scenes with D'Artagnan and Constance together, and there are there's 2 scenes, I think, 2 longer scenes with D'Artagnan and some other woman where he's in a sort of flirty sexual situation, and there's 3 scenes with D'Artagnan and some other woman where they are sort of paired up.
Yeah.
So I don't really think they were going for the romance thing here.
No, but they tried to frame it quite a lot towards the end, and they tried to have that scene to justify how flat everything was. What did you think of the action?
I thought the action was fun enough. I don't think the action was the focus of the movie. I thought it was sort of standard swashbuckling action. It wasn't super creative like, say, Pirates of the Caribbean, like the earlier sword fights they had. Some of those got really creative. But it also wasn't really terrible. Like, it still kind of felt like action, and I could tell what was going on with the different people. And I think more the point of the action was, like the one-liners and stuff that...
Yes, yeah. I think it's the actors that bring the tenacity and energy to the sword fights. It really is all them. Like, a lot of the fights could just be a little boring without the little touches they add to the fights, like how Porthos will look almost orgasmic while he's fighting, or he looks just so excited to be part of all this violence.
So
it's explained because like he's a former pirate, so you can understand why he's getting a lot of joy out of it. And Kiefer Sutherland just looks so angry when he's fighting. I love it. He just looks so intense. He's like, oh, I'm so good with this sword.
Yeah, for example, like the part where there's the carriage chase between the Cardinals men and the Musketeers. If you just look at the chase, it's kind of a basic chase scene. It's not really special or anything. But what makes it special is that during the chase scene, all of the Musketeers are having banter with each other.
Exactly.
About the different kinds of, alcohol that they find in the carriage.
Yeah. The other thing, that was definitely one of my favourite scenes in the film, because it managed to utilise D'Artagnan by just having him helm the horses. It's like, right, okay, just go to the side, we don't need you. Let's just focus on these incredibly charming musketeers getting wasted and making one-liners, and that was one of my favourite scenes in the film.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it, because the movie's called The Three Musketeers. It's not called, the D'Artagnan movie.
Anyway, so very important that we talk about the crowning achievement of this film, Tim Curry as the Cardinal.
Yes, satin-caped Tim Curry strutting around the halls.
Oh my god, he's such a blast. This is just, it's so great to come off things like Garfield 2 and remember, oh wait, he can be hilariously hammy. Yes, I want this Tim Curry. Like, he's really slimy and creepy and you can feel that oozing, but at the same time, he'll eat the scenery and he has these amazing one-liners that I absolutely love.
And he has this beautiful, like, evil villain mustache.
Yes, yes.
He's got the mustache, he's got the cape. The only thing I wish that he could have had was a better defeat at the end of the movie. Because the only thing that happens is the king guy, who, by the way, looks like a 12-year-old girl in this one as well. Like,
looks like Emo Phillips.
He delicately punches Tim Curry off the boat, and that's it. And Tim Curry doesn't even get, like, a funny, like, I've just been punched in the face noise. He just falls off the boat. Which,
that was rubbish. But still, it was so fun watching him. And like, oh yeah, I'm trying to remember some of my favourite lines he has. It's like, one for all and more for me.
Yeah, he says that.
All for one. And more for me.
I love it.
He says, I want them dead or alive. I'd prefer dead.
Dead, yes! That's one of my other I was going to say that one.
1,000 gold pieces on each of their heads, dead or alive. I prefer dead.
Oh, he's like one of the best things about this movie. He does carry a lot of it. When it starts to slog, if he steps in and it's like, oh, thanks, Tim.
Yeah. And I can tell they were really trying to focus on the Musketeers, and they were trying to focus on him. Like, the movie doesn't even start with D'Artagnan. It opens up with Tim Curry scarily riding a fireboat into the dungeon.
Yes, and he has
his torture dungeon.
Yes, he has an amazing entrance. He's got like this choir. You've got these suffering prisoners, and he just looks so menacing. And I just loved it. I was just won over. It's such a better entrance than in Oliver Twist, where he just wankers in drunk. I was like, yes, thank you. You compensated for that. Oh, it was so great.
I mean, he is the perfect movie villain for a super cheesy movie like this, and Tim Curry is the perfect person to play the super cheesy movie villain. So this is an example of a movie that knows how to Tim Curry.
Yes, exactly.
Did you notice that throughout the movie his like evil cardinal cape that he wears like just gets longer and longer, and as he gets more and more evil, he's got this like beautiful like billowing red satin cape, and it gets longer and longer, and he just has it flying out behind him by the end, and he's taking it, he's like draping it all over the throne, like laughing and twirling his mustache.
Oh, I also love that bit where he actually finally gets to sit on the throne, and he's like, yes, and I'll have my queen by my side. And the queen responds with, I'd rather die. So the cardinal says, that could be arranged.
And he freaking drop kicks the footstool like all the way out of the shot, and he gets some air on that thing. I mean, I know it's probably made out of like wood, but still.
The huddled masses turn for comfort to their devout spiritual leader, who, ever so humbly, assumes the throne with the queen by his side.
I would rather die.
That can be arranged!
He was so good. And there's that scene where he wants to send a pigeon message, and it manages to frame it in the most epic way possible with like slow-mo pigeons coming out and Tim Curry in the sunset. I'm like, oh, thank you, movie.
I could tell that the people who worked on this one, unlike the Oliver Twist one, they had fun working on it. They wanted to make a fun movie, and when you watch it, it's very fast-paced. Things happen like so quickly, but all of the scenes they put in are like scenes that you can tell somebody has made because they want it to be fun. The scenes don't like necessarily have to add a ton to the drama, the political drama. They'll have a little bit maybe to do with developing the character of one of the Musketeers, but there's going to be scenes of them just popping out of the shadows on boats and dancing together in taverns and stuff, and they're just those are the best. Yeah, they're just there to have fun, you know. And it seems like they started with the premise of the Three Musketeers, but then to me, it feels like they were not adapting the original book. It felt like maybe they were adapting the illustrated children's version of the book, and then they changed it even more. But they just looked at the characters, and they're like, okay, well, what are fun things we can do with these characters? And they just did all of the fun things. And they gave Tim Curry a cape.
Yes.
I think probably the most unfun thing about the movie is there's a couple things in it that I think are kind of 90s. Like there's a lot of 90s tropes, but then there's also some attitudes about different kinds of characters that are a little bit behind the times nowadays. Like the female characters don't really do much. They're kind of just pawns to be there. They have like that one like Asian assassin guy who's, you know, if they came out with an Asian assassin guy like that now, they might raise like a couple eyebrows with people. They have the part at the end where like the really ugly guy dies and it's like, haha, he was really ugly. And they have parts where like the Musketeers just go and like kill a ton of people and it's kind of like a joke. I think that if you just let it go and you don't try and think about that kind of stuff too much, it's like fun. But if you're looking at it through today's lens, which is very focused on social justice kind of stuff, then there might be some questionable things for people, which is why I'm saying you have to go into it and let go of everything and just have fun with it.
Okay, final conclusion?
Watch it sometime when, you know, you just want to relax and you just want to have fun. You don't necessarily have to be drunk to have fun with it.
No, you don't, no.
Watch this one instead of the Barbie one.
Rating?
6 out of 10.
Personally, I thought that The Three Musketeers was a fun, goofy swashbuckler with strong title characters and an entertaining villain played by Tim Curry at his most charmingly hammy. Sadly, it's let down by a cast of forgettable supporting characters, and it loses its charismatic energy when it tries to take itself too seriously. It's a good watch if you want a cheesy Disney action adventure, but you'll be disappointed if you're after a faithful adaptation. I'm going to give it 6 out of 10. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Church of Tim Curry. I've been Jamboree.
I've been Viva Becker, and goodbye.